Welcome back to another episode. I am Sticks. This is my best friend and co-host D-Lo, and we are Too Complex. Took a quick week off, man, but we right back with the content. But before we get into the topics, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We almost there, man. Stop laughing at me, cuz. We almost there, man. We took a week off, man. Give me some slack. We took a week off, but we almost to that 600 subscriber goal. We at 570 right now. Go ahead and hit that like button, man, and the subscribe button. Because you already know, 95% of y'all ain't subscribed to the channel. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's free. It don't cost you nothing. You can always unsubscribe later if you want to. And hit the notification bell so you miss none of these bangers that we drop every single week. You can tell we took a week off because my ass stumbling already. But we good.
It's all good. It's all good. Nah, I was laughing though, because I thought you was thinking about what I said last time.
What'd you say last time?
Introduction with when you're doing the fingers and shit. And I was like, you got them little ass hands and yeah. But anyway, what's good, bro? Took the week off because of me. I had to go attend the God Brothers Sports Hall of Fame, City Sports Hall of Fame induction.
Shout out to AC,
him,
man.
Yeah, man. Pretty much he's been inducted to everything amateur wise that he can be. City Hall of Fame, High School Hall of Fame, School Hall of Fame. So yeah, I don't think he'll be inducted into the NFL, but if that happens, I'll be there as well.
That's a fact, man. I mean, and speaking of small hands, nigga, we found out that my hands weren't actually that small. Did we?
See what I'm saying? This is why I said like we might have to do it at the.
It's all
night.
good,
but,
man.
Yeah, based off of what the NFL said, you're right. It's probably is.
But I still feel like they
average size for a NFL player. You're right.
Anyway,
yeah.
But how was your week, my G? Other than
the
what
week
you just
was the week,
about.
bro. Yeah, the week was the week, man. It was what it was. We what did I didn't really do much this week. I did go to last night. I did go to my daughter's one of her school dances.
Mm-hmm. It was silly.
Never again.
Wow,
Never again, bro.
Wow, bro.
It was just a bunch of kids running around. And my daughter is not like a teenager or anything like that. She's fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a bunch of kids running around. It's like, what?
No choreography,
like,
just they might have had some planned choreography, but it was just probably basic stuff.
It's no such thing as planned choreography for elementary school kids.
True.
It was one kid that they were playing Michael Jackson or whatever, and he had like a circle and he was doing Michael Jackson. Somebody filmed it. I saw it. I didn't actually go to the circle to watch him dance.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, for an elementary school kid, he did a little crazy. Justice. Yeah, he did a little justice to it.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up. I mean, my week was.
What about you? How was your week?
My week was cool, man. I mean, this is really just overtaken by a lot of stuff for work. I've been talking about how I'm in academy, and it's just a new atmosphere for me, which I love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's. I think I was telling you the other night, bro. This is one client, dog. This new client that I just picked up that know we have hard deadlines, but just it feels like they just refuse to meet the deadlines, bro. Like it just don't be like there's no communication, there's no like urgency, and I'm just like, bro, if y'all really want this to start the first of next month, y'all got to get me this stuff. Otherwise, y'all gonna be pushed back to May because we're not gonna be able to work this out, and it'll take them even with that basic sense of urgency email. Even a phone call, I can't even get nobody on the phone. So it's like, bro, like even with that sense of urgency, I still don't get no response for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm like, all right. So me and my manager had a one-on-one last night or yesterday before we closed down the day. And the first thing he said was, "We ain't talking about that account. Fuck them." I was like, God damn. Older white dude. He was like, "We ain't talking about that account. Fuck them." I was like, okay. What you want to talk about? Because that's the only thing I had to talk about in the one-on-one. I was like, okay, well, what you got? Because I know how you feel, bro. Cause that's the same thing I said. I know how you feel because they pissing me off too. So
yeah,
it's just like one of those things where it's like, these business owners, sometimes they're hard to get in contact with, and that's just another. It's the same thing in sales, kind of everywhere. When I was selling cars, it was hard to get in contact with people too, and you kind of interrupting people's days and trying to tell them what they need, and they like, I don't need shit, really, to be honest. So it's just like that's the only thing in sales, but you just got to find a way to kind of cut through all the BS and build that rapport. So, and I built the rapport.
I mean, they feel like they have,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a buyer always feels like they have the upper hand. They always have the power. They have the control. And if they don't feel like they have the control, they try to snatch the control back by doing stuff like this. Yep. So, I definitely understand. Understand that. I don't even think I say it again. Why I got out of the sales industry, because it's just like nowadays people are too informed. They feel like they're too informed for you to just be coming to them and trying to sell them stuff, unless it's like a product they absolutely need and you're just attached to it. And the sale it sells itself. But it's tough to be a salesman these days.
The funny thing is though, D-Lo, with something like insurance, they don't know anything about it. That's the crazy part. They don't know anything about anything when it comes to insurance. So it's like they whenever they act like they got all the information, I'm like, do you really know what you're talking about? Sometimes I be like, because me, I'm new, so I don't know everything there is to know, and insurance is ever changing. So anytime I think I know everything, something else gonna change. So it's constant learning. But I be listening to some of them like, I don't think you know what you're talking about. For real. Right. Like, I don't think you know. And they don't, but it's all good. And it's all good. That's why I'm here to inform them, but I gotta cut through all the minutia first. But everything is cool, man. Everything is everything with that. Sam is good. She here. She went on the matter of fact, I should probably let her tell this because this is her story, but she'll never come on the podcast. So no matter. She went to she said she went to on a field trip yesterday to Microsoft, and she said she had a whole this is the crazy part of the story to me.
She want to be in tech now.
No. It was just she didn't even want to go to the field trip until me and her mom talked her into it, basically. Just go and, be social, because she don't really get a lot of opportunities to be social with other kids her age. So I was like, just go be social, whatever. She told me, bro, that one of the presenters at this Microsoft field trip said that what you were talking about yesterday, the AI, what's the name of the position?
Prompt engineer.
Prompt engineer. She said that the lady told her that most prompt engineers these days make $400,000.
I told you.
I was like, ain't no way that easy ass job is $400,000 a year, bro.
Well, it's a lot more to it than just
entering. It is, and when I researched it, when I researched it, I noticed that.
But I told you that last week. Like, if we educate ourselves, jobs will be lost, but some jobs will be created from this. And right now, that hot job is prompt engineer. And I think a lot of people, they don't really know how to properly ask the AI machines the correct question to get the results that they want. And so that's why these individuals that make that type of money, that's why they're so important, because they know exactly what to ask that gets them the results that they want. But then they have to put it into a report and how to present it to the individuals to execute the results that they want.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I realized after she told me that and I researched it, I was like, there's a lot more to go into this than I thought it was. But I was like, bruh, because when she first said that, I looked at her like, 400. I said, you got to be saying like 40,000. She was like, no, the lady told me 400. I was like, Sam, I said, Sam, I swear to God, if that job is paying 400,000 a year, that's your first job out of high school. Promise you. I said because people, there's no way. And she researched, she looked it up. I was like, she said, here, look. She told me her phone. She said, here, look. I said, no.
Yeah.
I said, no.
They're serious.
When I got back home and I researched it a little bit, I was like, there is a lot more learning and more. It's more technical than I thought. But I was like, bruh, that is crazy to me. That job, just putting prompts into a computer, into an AI software, makes you $400,000 a year. But
speaking of AI and algorithms, though, I don't know. So we talked briefly one time about me entering in a different side of YouTube that I don't know how I got in.
Mhm.
Once again, I find myself, because I'm on YouTube quite a bit, and really I just use YouTube for looking at podcasts, other podcasts,
Likewise.
looking at sports, and then gaming, keeping up with one of our homies' gaming channels, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So how stuff reaches my homepage or For You page, I have no idea when I'm specifically looking at these type of things.
Mhm.
I'm on the side of YouTube now, and it's a new side of YouTube actually that I'm finding that I have no idea, at least on YouTube, how I got there.
Mhm.
So there's a new portion of YouTube where women are doing try-on hauls with see-through stuff, so you can see all they goodies. I'm like, and they mask it, and how it keep it up is they put like a little disclaimer every last one. So I got in it, I saw one, it's like, what the and then, you know, looking at a bunch of other ones, they all do the same thing though. They all have a disclaimer at the top, say this is not for some type of gratification. This is for professional exposure to clothing, so on and so forth, and giving an opinion and whatnot. And then right off the bat, they hop on, hi guys, blah 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 blah, and then they just go to. It's like, I don't know how I got to that side of YouTube, bro. So that algorithm is messed up, but maybe it's some cats looked at the same thing I looked at, and it's like, all right, well, they looked at this. Let me throw this to them too.
D-Lo gotta like this shit too, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
see,
I don't know.
You know what's crazy though? Like, and that's what's happening to Twitch. That's why a lot of X, formerly Twitter, is all messed up. That's basically a corn site now.
Yeah.
That's why, like, you know, a lot of these social media spaces are being overtaken by a lot of body positivity, sexual liberation kind of things, and that's like
oldest profession in the world. That's
oldest profession in the world, because
that's always going to sell.
That's what we've been talking about for a couple for at least we talked about it at least a couple of times over the life of the podcast, that sex and negativity sells. Sex and drama is gonna sell, and the sexiest people in the world are women. The woman's body, if you have a curvaceous, something that the men are going to like, that what the standard,
and if you don't have it, you can go buy it.
And if you don't have it, you can go buy it. So if you have whatever the standard is, whatever the body standard is in the world today, you can sell that motherfucker and make crazy bread. Now, the only issue is that shit ain't sustainable over time, but
unless you keep buying it,
unless you keep buying it, because we talked about that too, D-Lo, when we got 80-year-old motherfuckers out here trying to look like they 20, 30 years old. So, I mean, bro, it's so crazy what social media and these outlets are letting women get away with these days. It's so crazy, and it's all because of sexual liberation, body positivity, and everything is inclusive.
Let them get away with it though.
You think a lot of them are finding ways around
loopholes.
They're finding loopholes and ways around it. Yeah, that's true.
Like with what I was talking about, with them showing their body parts, but just having on see-through sheer material. So how they're getting around is because that's kind of like, they're still clothed and it's still censored, so to speak, but you just can see through it, right? You can act. So it's crazy. They're finding loopholes. And then, you know, again, oldest profession in the world, that's bringing, like, the platforms frown upon it. For those that are listening, I'm using air quotes. So the platforms frown upon it, but it's bringing viewers to their platform. So they kind of like slap you on the wrist a little bit, but go ahead and do what you do, and, you know, just say I gave you a slap on the wrist.
But see, that's the crazy thing is that YouTube is so hard on these type of things as far as like censorship.
That's saying the wrong things. That's not showing the wrong things.
Censorship and what is it, the copyright laws that they have in the like, so they're so strict on everything else, but then, like, I don't know, bro, it's like D-Lo said, man, it's the oldest profession in the book, and if they can find ways around it, and they have what men are buying, or what it's not even just men these days, honestly, but if they have what the world is buying, they can sell it, and they gonna make bread off of it. The only issue is whenever you get to be 50, 60, it's going to be another 20.
So I'm assuming you haven't seen it.
I have not. I have not seen a bunch of no trial halls come across my page.
I was shocked, bro. I was like, what in the world is going on?
I ain't seen no trial halls come across
Let
my
me go
page.
ahead and click on it.
D-Lo stupid. D-Lo dumb.
So Jake Paul, man's made a name for himself in the boxing profession.
Indeed, he
making
has.
quick work of some worthy names in the fighting industry. Started out kind of like just having exhibition fights against other celebrities, so on and so forth. Then he decided to take it serious, I guess, and so he started fighting MMA fighters, some other boxers and stuff like that. His current record is 9-1, I think 10-1, something of the sort.
9-1.
He's gonna face his biggest challenge yet when he faces up,
probably
when he
ever.
squares off with Mike Tyson on July 20th in Dallas on Netflix. Sticks. How do you feel about Jake Paul and the Mike Tyson fight? I'm gonna add another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he gets knocked out?
To answer the first question, my initial reaction was, "What the fuck is Jake Paul thinking? Like, what is he?
Yeah.
What is he thinking? Trying to fight in the, if not one of the most nastiest boxer in the history of boxing, like
the most feared for sure.
The most feared for sure. Most feared for sure. And whenever I heard this fight was happening, I was like, okay, this got to be fake. But then I saw a bunch of stuff on social media. Then I actually saw that there was a little quick documentary on Netflix. And I'm like, this might be real. So I got to falling down the rabbit hole of Jake Paul fights and Mike Tyson fights from back in the day. I was like, if Mike Tyson loses this fight, this could be like a spectacle when it comes to the sport of boxing. Because not only a spectacle because of who's fighting who, but a spectacle of this doesn't help boxing at all, especially if Mike Tyson loses this fight. This is a lose-lose situation for Mike. This got to be just a money grab for him, for real. I'm not going to lie. Got to be a money grab. And Mike Tyson ain't hurting for money. So, not that I know of. I haven't done any research into his finances. It ain't none of my business. But I would assume he's not hurting for bread. So, this is got to be just a money grab for Mike. What I do think is yes, he gets knocked out. And if he doesn't, this is just for entertainment purposes only. Which it is.
Jake Paul gets knocked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think Jake Paul gets knocked. Bruh, just from a year ago, his training videos were going crazy at 56 years old. Now he done dropped another couple of videos, you know what I'm saying, here recently over the past week where he's still going stupid with the training. Like, Mike Tyson is probably the best fighter of all time. Like, he's a legend.
I wouldn't say that, but he's up there.
He was like you said. I'm gonna keep it. True. I could give you that. I could concede that. But like you said, he's definitely the most feared of all time. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely the most feared
for sure.
Most feared for sure. So I mean, I just think it's dumb. But I do applaud Jake Paul for the way he goes about doing his business, though, because this man, like you said, was just doing it amateurly, just fighting YouTubers, but then decided to take it serious, and he's been knocking people out. Granted, it's been old MMA fighters and people who ain't really like that no more. But somebody like Mike Tyson, bro, like, it's insane. If Mike Tyson don't knock him out, I would say they're gonna put on a show for the first. How many rounds is it? It's not. It can't be a 12-round fight.
Yeah, I should look.
I didn't see that. I got two things up on my screen right now that I don't see how many rounds it is. But even if it's 6 rounds, I think a lot of his fights go 6 rounds. It's supposed to go 6 rounds. But if it's going to be if it's going to be some entertainment value to where they're going to get put on the show for like the first 2-3 rounds. But if Mike Tyson can probably knock this dude out whenever he wants to, like, he could probably bop him a couple of times and he gone. I suspect Jake Paul is gonna come out of this motherfucker 9-2, like easily 9-2. Like, there's no way.
I don't see how many rounds it is right now either. Yeah, I don't see it. I typed in how many rounds and it didn't give me anything. But anyway, so yeah, I feel like it's complete. Like Jake Paul, what's he thinking about? He's just thinking about the dollar right now.
Gotta be.
Because you see, you attach the name Mike Tyson, who in his heyday when he was knocking people out with ease, was attracting millions of viewers, getting a lot of money for his fights. You attach that name to a Jake Paul, and it's going to be must see TV, even if people don't think it's real, even if the fans feel like this is, like you felt like this is fake. They're gonna view it. They're gonna tune in to see what happens.
Because I'm definitely watching. I'm definitely gonna watch.
Yeah, and I don't know what the split is, but I'm sure like it's gonna make a lot of money. I'm expecting to make a ton of money. So if what Jake Paul is thinking is just let me survive so I can spend this money afterwards, and because that's what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. But I mean, have you mentioned how Mike Tyson's training was last year? Have you seen the recent?
I've seen the most recent videos. Yes, I've seen them.
I truly don't know what this man is thinking about. If Mike Tyson was 155, I wouldn't want to get in the ring with him. Like, this man still look like that punch is aiming to kill you. It's not I'm punching to land. No, I'm punching to kill you. And I don't know what he's thinking about. You know what I'm saying? What did he say after he knocked somebody out in 30 seconds? Lennox, I'm coming for you. My style is impetuous. My defense is impenetrable. I'm ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your kids. Praise be to Allah. Yeah, he's still on that.
He's still on that. He's still
on that. He crazy. Nah. I don't know what Jake Paul thinking about.
I don't either, bro. But the crazy thing that I saw is that, DraftKings is sports betting, right?
Yeah.
Tell me what
legal in North Carolina now. People been going crazy in North Carolina over this betting.
I wish it was legal in Washington. I ain't gonna lie. But tell me why DraftKings has Mike Tyson as the underdog in this fight.
Well, he's 57.
That's why. Mike Tyson.
They want you to.
But the problem 57. Is that since he's the underdog, if you bet money on Mike Tyson, you're going to win a lot of money. Yeah, you get more payout. Yeah. So they had Mike Tyson as a plus 350.
So for every dollar you get, you win 350.
Yep.
Is that how that works? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So if I bet if DraftKings was legal in Washington, get your shit together. But if it was legal, I would literally go bet $100 to get 3.5K easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Listen, I didn't say if I thought he's gonna knock him out. It's definitely a viability that he will get knocked out. All it takes is one. So we don't know the amount of rounds that it is, but historically,
that's $35,000. If I bet $100, it's $35,000, bro. I would do it.
Yeah. So historically, Mike Tyson has done his work in the first 2 to 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. If he don't knock you out after that, and it has to go to distance, he doesn't typically do that well. So if he catch him in the first round, it's a wrap.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not gonna happen. They're gonna milk YouTube for everything they can.
It ain't YouTube though. You said it was
not YouTube, not
which
YouTube.
Is, yes, we need Netflix. To talk about that too.
Yeah, we do because but they gonna milk Netflix for as much as they can. They gonna put on the show for the first couple of rounds.
I don't think so.
You think he gonna bop him in the first round? I mean, they get the payout regardless. But
if it's true, if it's like true boxing, it's not scripted. Like everybody thinks Jake Paul's fights are anyway.
That's a problem though. I think it's scripted.
If it's true boxing, if it's not scripted, and like they actually throwing, with what I've seen from Jake Paul, like yeah, he's held his own against some of these former boxers or MMA fighters who aren't really boxers. But we talking about Mike Tyson. If he get caught with what I seen on these daggone Instagram posts,
that's a fact.
One of them hits.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's a wrap. But I mean, and one of Mike Tyson's former trainers said like he thinks that Jake Paul is going to panic when he gets hit by the first punch from Mike Tyson, because he never really felt that before. And I think it's true. Like, bro, we got to find a way to post. I'm sure people have seen it, but just for my sanity, post it on our page showing Mike Tyson throwing these punches at his trainer, bro.
Listen, man,
this dude is throwing.
He
look quick at 57 too.
Yes, he gonna knock Jake Paul out with a body punch. It ain't even gonna be no punch to the head. He gonna get caught with something to the body real quick. He go. he gonna get caught. It's gonna hurt him. It's gonna hurt him. He gonna hit
total knockout.
Yeah.
What was that game? It was Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson punch out.
Yeah. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
Mike Tyson punch out is gonna happen to Jake Paul on July the 20th. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because it makes no this fight honestly makes no sense, bro. I don't see
it makes sense from a money grab standpoint, like you said,
and it makes sense from a Jake Paul standpoint. Yeah, they definitely gonna get that. But if Mike Tyson don't knock this boy out, boy, I know something. Yeah. It can't go to no draw. But for what I see though, just to clarify a little bit, it says I just put an article up. It says they're still working on a few details as far as the rules. Is it pro or is it exhibition? It's exhibition, of course. Then they said, he said, I'm told, the person that's reporting this says, I'm told heavyweight rounds. So 12 rounds.
12 rounds.
12 rounds. And then they said they're working on that
my
as
thing
well.
with Jake Paul, though, is like, why not just like actually be a boxer? Like, get into that, try to win some belts and stuff, rather than, I mean, these exhibitions are winning him a ton of money, I believe. I don't know what the last fight got him, but just, bro, if you're trying to box, go box. Stop picking and choosing these old individuals to fight, or, you know, these celebrities that are similar in stature to fight. Go actually fight people that are doing it for real, and see where you stack up from there.
The purse for his last fight was $1.2 million.
I mean, but he just fought 4 months ago.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm talking about.
Not even 4 months ago. 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks. 4 weeks is a month.
I said 4 months ago.
Oh, 4 months. Got you. Yeah.
4 weeks ago he just fought. So, and then you talking about the quick turnaround in July. I mean, I know boxers make typically those like big fights.
It wasn't even 4 weeks ago, but it was like 2 weeks ago. He just fought March 2nd.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I know those Mayweather fights, the De La Hoyas, and, you know, the big heavyweight fights from back in the day used to draw the fighters used to get way more than 1.2 million.
More.
We talking about a former YouTuber that's dipping his toe in exhibition boxing, making 1.2 million for a fight against the dude was not a no name, but come on. And now you talking about Mike Tyson, the purse probably going to be triple, if not quadruple that.
I just saw what it was. I want to say it said 50 million, but don't quote me on that yet. Hold on.
And Netflix is attached to it.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Let's talk about Netflix. Talk about that real quick. That's interesting to me, because one thing that the knock for Netflix for quite some time is they don't have live sports or live events as well, or either live television. So now that they're able to get something like this, which is I believe it's their first time hosting a live event, that's a game changer for them. Because if they can get into that, they can start having live events on their platform. That makes that service that much better, especially if we're talking about sports, because a lot of people are cutting the cord and just looking for streaming services that offer strictly sports.
Cut.
Well, you know what I'm saying? But they're continuing to cut it. And if Netflix can, and especially with Netflix upping their price and saying that you can't share your password and this and that. Now, if you're offering sports, that offers a whole new level of entertainment that people are looking for, along with the nostalgic television that they offer or shows that they offer on that platform already. That's a game changer, man. So when you said it was on Netflix, that's why I kept saying, wait, it's on Netflix?
Yep.
And he was like, yes, Netflix. I was like, nah, you tripping. It ain't on Netflix. And then when I went and researched it, it's like, damn, it's on Netflix. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
What you
bro.
think about that?
I mean, it's the fact that, like you said, the streaming services are trying to dip their toe into sporting events now, like live sporting events. Like Hulu has had live for probably a decade now at this point. Now you got YouTube Live. Now Netflix dipping
Disney
their toe.
partly owns Hulu.
Disney partly. Oh yeah, Disney partly owns Hulu.
Or they own half of it, I believe.
Yeah, because you can get that whole thing in the bundle book, whatever.
Yeah.
But like you have all of these, like you got Tubi TV, you got all of these streaming services dipping their toe into this into live streams, or like actual quote unquote cable TV. Of course, Hulu was the first to do it, if I'm not mistaken. Hulu was the first streaming service to have a live platform, but I ain't gonna say it's weird because they have to reach the masses, and I don't even know the last time I had cable TV, like actual cable that you plug into the wall, and they have to reach the masses because they have to make the bread, and nobody is actually watching cable anymore. I don't watch cable at all. I don't watch TV at all unless it's sports. So most of the time I'm on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So they have to figure out a way to reach somebody like myself. And if I'm not buying the standard cable, then they have to find out how to reach me to make me watch television. So, and sports events is the easiest way to do that to me, because most of society watches some form of sports. So most of society watches some form of sports, whether you male or female. So they have to figure out a way to hit us. But bruh, they saying that the valuation for this fight is $300 million.
The crazy thing is you, and this is what's crazy, and adds more value to Netflix, is you won't have to pay for it.
Nope.
It's gonna be included.
If you're a subscriber,
of Netflix, you get it for free.
Yep.
Well, not for free because you're paying for the subscription to Netflix, but still.
But it's no extra cost to the fight.
Yeah, it's no extra cost. That's
so it's not like a pay-per-view type of thing where you might have to spend $95, $99 to actually get the fight. Nah.
Right.
You get if you are a subscriber, because they saying that how many households did it say that Netflix hits? Like 300 million households or something like that. I can't remember the exact number, but it's a lot.
It can't be 300 million. There's 300 million people I guess it could be 300 million, but it's 360 million people in the United States. That's men, women, and children. Yeah. So,
but
just say half of that, 150 million.
150 million. Just say if it's 150 million households. That's what now $14.99 a month for 150 million.
There's more than that. They've gone up in the price like $29.99, I believe.
I don't think I'm paying that much, but they might be.
I mean, they have different tiers.
I might have a lower tier because I ain't
top
worried about
tiers. Like
I don't watch it enough, so I ain't got no top tier plan. But I'm just wondering how long it's going to take for Netflix to actually say, okay, cool, we're about to get into live, like Hulu did.
That's probably why they're dipping their toe in it to see what the response is. Get the data on that, and then say, all right, well, let's start bidding for some of these contracts that will run out soon. Like we talked about, and I don't want to make this segment longer than it needs to be, but we talked about how the college, they're doing the realignments because of, the different TV deals that these conferences have. Now, if Netflix can say, all right, you guys give me your rights to your TV, to your TV deals, or just give me your rights to your conference and your teams, and we'll pay you out XYZ. We'll include that in our subscription. That's 150 million homes that these colleges will be in. That's an ad. If they could get like the SEC, which is the conference everybody wants for football, if they could get an SEC, game over.
Game over.
The SEC can offer $100 million a year to their teams because they have a Netflix deal. Now, Netflix isn't exactly a profitable company right now because of the amount of content that they have to pay for, so on and so forth. But, they find a way to continue to buy content, and I'm sure they'll continue to find a way. If they need to get in live sports, they'll find a way to get that money to whoever they're trying to pull in.
Yeah, and just to kind of put a bow on it, as long as pay-per-view's been in business, it's been in business as long as I can remember, since we were kid, probably before that. This hurts pay-per-view 100%. Because if they can, because I think that Netflix don't have to. I mean, the platform has gone down a little bit because they don't have as many good originals no more, and then a lot of the old movies that they used to have on there ain't there no more. And like they used to be the premier spot for movies and stand up and all of that. Netflix used to be the top tier. They still top tier, but it's not as good as it used to be. If they, to be perfectly honest with you, they don't even have to do live, like Hulu Live, like television. If they just do sports, that's all they need to do.
That's all they need to do.
That's all they need to do. That's all they need to do.
I agree.
And if they start doing this for as no extra cost to their subscribers, Netflix pay-per-view is done for.
Well, they'll definitely, if they do introduce live sports, they will definitely increase that price, which it will come at a cost of the consumer. But what you're saying is if you don't have to pay anything extra along with the subscription to see these type of events, yeah, that's a killer to pay-per-view.
But again, though, like you said, they dipping their toe in it right now. So they're going to say, okay, Jake Paul, Tyson, y'all get that for free. But once they start evaluating it, they're going to say, okay, now if you want to see this, it's going to be an extra $10.99. Some shit like that down the road. Yeah, if you want to watch the national championship, $10.99. Something like that. Something small, because they in so many households. They don't need an OD like pay-per-view being $99.99 for a fight or for like a card of fights. Nah, you already paying $30. $10 more right quick, you can watch this fight. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to eventually start, like you said, they're going to eventually start charging for it. I don't know if it's going to be in a monthly subscription, but I think they'll just say, okay, we got this main event right here. Pay us an extra $10. You can watch the main event.
Yeah, if they again, yeah, not to. This is crazy how we got on this, but I knew we needed to talk about this portion of it because this is the complex part about it, right? Like, yeah, we talk about sports, and Jake Paul and Tyson is compelling because of the individuals that's involved, but to me, I felt like this was the most important part, especially when you told me it was on Netflix. Because, like, now, what does Netflix do, after this to solidify themselves as a player in the live event space? And so I don't know if they go that pay-per-view route, then I don't think it is appealing to the consumer. Because then they can just, say, okay, well, I can get it from Netflix. But if they offer it as a part of the subscription, but just increase your price, people can justify that. Okay, I'm paying X $5 more or $10 more a month for my subscription, but I can see basketball events, or I can see baseball events, whatever they start. I can see MLS, or I can see something of the sort. Let's say, because Netflix is a global company. Let's say they get Championship League soccer over there in Europe. Say they get that as a starter. That's that. I know a lot of people that would love to have that in their homes at no extra cost. I'm doing air quotes for those that are listening. So definitely, it's an added value. But if they go the pay-per-view route, I don't know how much of a ad for the consumer that Netflix think it would be.
Yeah, I think it'd be dope for Netflix though. To dip their toe into the sports the sports arena, but they have so much market share, man, that they can make so much money off of it, and they're going to. So they just need to. But like you said, Major League Soccer is the most popular sport in the world. So if they do get something like that, where you can watch UEFA League or something of that nature, like, bruh, why not? You know what I'm saying? And even if it is just main events, you don't even have to, like I said a second ago, you don't have to charge as much as pay-per-view be charging. They've been charging $100 every time for these main events most of the time. And I ain't seen it too much lower than $95.99 for like a main event, like a card of fights or whatever the WWE or whatever the main event is for them. So they're gonna charge that bread. Man, you already paying $30. Just give me $10. You can watch this fight. You can watch this card. You can watch this WWE. You can watch the playoffs, the NBA playoffs. Because most people don't watch the whole season. They just wait to May, June, to whenever the playoffs is going on for the NBA. I got all the playoff games right here. Give me $15. You can watch all the playoffs until it's over. You know what I'm saying? So like,
if they was to offer live sports, and just say they increase the price by $9.99, $10. From what I saw, they have 260 million paid subscribers worldwide. Within the United States, they have 73 million.
Mm-hmm.
They was an increased price by $10. That would be $749 million that they would generate just off of increasing the price and bringing on live sports. So it would be intriguing for them to do that.
It would be. It would be. And like you said, if it's all subscribers, you have to pay this extra $10 to see these live events, or you're not going to get to see them. Okay, cool. But even if it was just at the time of the live event, like with Tyson and Jake Paul, even if it was just at that moment, okay, we see that this fight is coming up. At least a week before the fight, give us $10. And then we'll make sure that it's on your streaming service. You know what I'm saying? So like they ain't even got to do it as a subscription, as the monthly subscription, which wouldn't be bad either, like you said, because you will be able to, if you got the paid subscription, you'll be able to see everything regardless.
I think that's the route they should go.
I think that's the route they will go. I think that's the route they will go to, though. To be perfectly honest with you, yeah, I agree with that. But moving on to the next segment, D-Lo, man, Nick Saban, who has not been an advocate. Well, I can't really say that he hasn't. Nick Saban, who has not particularly liked the NIL since it's been going on for the past 3-4 years, he went to Congress to tell them how to fix the NIL, basically saying that they need some kind of revenue sharing proposition that does not make the student athletes employees, but it needs to be a long-term solution. D-Lo, do you agree with Nick Saban, and do you think the NCAA will put something in place like this?
I agree with Nick Saban, but I don't agree with Nick Saban. So I agree that there needs to be some type of revenue share with the athletes, because that has not been in place since the inception of the NCAA. And since they created that amateur status rule in order to make sure that they don't have to pay their players. But you can't have a revenue share and not consider the athletes employees. And the reason that they don't want to consider, I don't know why they don't want to consider the athletes employees, other than then you have to provide them with all other types of benefits rather than just the money. And I'm sure athletes currently would accept just the money, but I'm telling you, you need to try to push to be an employee, because again, it not only is the money, but it comes with other benefits. Now, there are some cons that could come with it too. Like now you probably have to pay taxes and all that stuff, which again, we still don't truly know if they pay taxes on their NIL deals, but I would imagine they do. And now,
I believe they do, yeah.
Now everybody doesn't get NIL deals. Like, it's only a select few of individuals throughout college in all sports that get NIL deals. But the majority of the teams still only get their scholarship, room and board, so on and so forth. However, but what I don't agree with is what I just said. Like, I think they need to push to be employees. And with that comes every school needs to have a cap. It needs to be a salary cap or NIL cap, where you can only have this amount of individuals on your team making this amount of money. And if you exceed that, you either pay a tax or you just don't do it. Just like the professionals do it now. Football has a salary cap, NBA has a salary cap, MLB has a salary cap, NHL has a salary cap, so on and so forth. So I think it needs to be a cap, because he also said, let me see if I can find it. He said it'll get to a point where the fans will look up and say, you know what, I don't really want to watch this game anymore, because all the good players are on one team, and it's going to be a monopoly of individual schools winning the championships, or, always in the game, which it's like that now, really, And he talked about a caste system as well, which it's a caste system currently in college sports. It's not focused on the players as much as it wasn't focused as much on the players as it is now. Back then it was focused on who has the best facilities, which is why majority of HBCUs get left behind, because their facilities aren't in the same tier as your major Division I schools, because they have all this money being funneled into them to get the top tier facilities. And it's an arms race. It's an arms race. Now not only is it an arms race for facilities, it's an arms race to see who can collect the most and
Talent.
best players on their
Mm-hmm.
team, the best talent. And so that's what he was saying. So I can understand that aspect of it. I can understand him saying there needs to be a revenue share. I can't understand why he say they don't need to be employees. And the only thing that I can think about is like they don't want to offer them. They don't want to be held responsible for offering athletes additional benefits that
Mm-hmm.
could ruin schools. But these schools have been benefiting from these athletes for so long. Why you think some of these schools are able to have the type of funds that they have? Why do you
Mm-hmm.
think? I mean, the only school that I know that isn't really a heavily or highly sports school is Harvard, and they have like $1 billion endowment or something like that. But majority of the other schools that have these top tier endowments, they're a top tier school as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can't really fathom why they don't want them to be employees, but I can agree with him in some regard, and in other regards I can't.
Yeah, I understand exactly what Nick Saban is saying because he wants it to be equal across the board. He wants some type of he wants it to run smoothly because right now it's not. Everybody knows it's not. The NIL is some athletes are ODing sometimes on what they're asking for and what they want just to like we've been talking about 5,000 to come on a visit. Okay, but and just like D'Lo said, shout out to NCCU, man, because when I was there, our facilities were cheeks, bro. Like it wasn't dumb bad, like it wasn't like a high school facility, but at the same time, like I can bear to say that when I was at Central, E. Smith's locker room was better than Central's locker room. And that's crazy to say. Like my high school's was locker room was better than my college locker room. And that's no fault to them. It's just like these Division II schools don't have, like D'Lo said, the endowments that these larger schools have, and they have. And shoot, I can bet it. When I went on my visit to East Carolina, bro, I was like, okay, this might be something that I can get with because the program was better, the facilities were way better. Just being a Conference USA Division I school, they just won't offer me a full scholarship, and my family couldn't pay the other half. So I said, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Central. That's fine. Dual scholarship, cool. I ain't got to pay for nothing. But I always tell people hindsight 2020, I could have earned that other half of that scholarship easily. So I probably should have went. But I was only looking at it from the lens that D'Lo said was the best facilities, the best programs, the best way I can get exposure to make it to my ultimate goal of the NFL. Still made it, but probably would have had a better chance to make it if I went to East Carolina. So, but to get back to the NIL thing, and the biggest thing that I think Nick Saban was trying to make sure that didn't happen was we talked about probably a couple months back about the unionization. And I think it was Dartmouth, right? Wasn't it Dartmouth?
Mm-hmm.
About how Dartmouth is now unionizing and trying to make sure that they are paid professional athletes within this union. Or at least paid, not professional, but well, if they're paid, they're professional at that point. So if they're getting paid through this union, and we talked about, I think we brought this up even before Dartmouth said they were unionizing. Like it's time for them to probably start a union, so they can come, so they can make sure that they're getting the pay that they deserve. But it is definitely an arms race, man. And I know that Nick Saban means he's always meant well by what he said about the NIL when he was coaching, but now he has a little bit more power to go to Congress. Well, more time. He's always had the power, but he has more time to go to the Congress and say, "Hey, this is probably what we need to do." I agree, but it's always going to be. It's always going to me. It's always going to be unbalanced, unless it's always going to be unbalanced because the Centrals of the world ain't going to be able to compete with the Alabamas of the world. You know what I'm saying? The Johnson C. Smiths of the world ain't going to be able to compete with Wake Forest. So because they just don't have the facilities, they don't have the budget to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go out and get this 5-star recruit." Because number one, they ain't gonna get they don't have the TV deals unless Netflix or something like we talked about in the last section does something with HBCUs or black college smaller universities, which they won't do because they're not gonna bring enough money.
That would be a good marriage, actually.
It would be, not gonna lie, that would be a good marriage. But
that would be a good marriage. because
But it's
they already tried to, again, not to overtake what
no.
you
Go ahead.
said
Go
and
ahead. Go
not
ahead.
to take us in a different path of this segment, but they already try to be diverse with the selections that they offer. And to my knowledge, the HBCU schools don't really have TV deals like that.
Really
So
don't, unless it's like
that
big
that
games
would
and
be a
stuff like
good
that.
marriage, actually.
Mm-hmm. I think once
Because then they,
I
they,
left.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go. No. Go ahead. Go ahead. You
No,
still
go,
talking?
go.
No. I said I
Go
think
ahead.
once I left Central, they started getting like regional deals and started being on TV regionally a little bit more often. But like national broadcast, never,
Yeah.
never.
But what I was going to finish with is they wouldn't have to necessarily, and again, no knock to the HBCUs, but
No,
they
it's all
wouldn't
good.
necessarily have to increase the subscription price that much. They could go up another $1 or $2 because there's, while HBCUs, y'all have great pride. Again, I kind of wish I went to HBCU, but I'm secondhand HBCU
Nah,
alum.
facts.
Um, but the vast majority of Netflix subscribers aren't HBCU alumni.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it wouldn't necessarily be something that people would necessarily tune in to watch for Netflix, but it's something that's offered,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, being the fact that it's offered, it could be there, and they could again collect data, because that's really all Netflix is a tech company. They're collecting data from what you're viewing, and then saying, okay, based off of this, we're offering you this. You know what I mean? So that wouldn't be a bad marriage. Sorry to interrupt your piece
All
there
good.
about Nick
All good.
Saban,
But
but
I do agree with Nick Saban though. There has to be some kind of long term solution, because if not, then the kids are going to continue to take advantage of it. And there's a lot of athletes. I'm going to go so far as to say deservingly, they need to know what their worth is, but
mhm.
they're taking it to the utmost extent with a lot of the things that they're asking for and wanting, and you know what I'm saying. And that's the one thing that Nick Saban was saying that he didn't like about it, is that
Mm-hmm.
he knew, everybody knew that there were going to be some athletes going to take advantage of the NIL system. And that's what they're doing. So,
but can you blame them though?
no, that not at all. I cannot blame them. I
Yeah.
cannot blame them. I can't blame them. But that's the issue, is that they're setting, even though they deserve what they're worth, they're setting the precedent for athletes down the line to continue to up the price. And there's a lot, and that's where the cash system comes from, is that there's a lot of I would say probably more than half of the programs in the nation can't keep up with that price.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the rich get richer and the better programs stay the better programs, because they're going to go where the most money is. And if Alabama has the most money, or if a Georgia, or the top 5 teams in the nation have the money, all the best athletes are going to go to those teams, and it's not going to be any disparity across the board.
And that's
So
why I said it needs to be a cap. But
mhm.
let me say this: it's the root. What's the root of the issue, though? The root of the issue is we're talking about these kids currently setting the precedent for those that follow to ask for more. But nobody says anything when these universities ask for more for tuition. Nobody says anything when houses are,
The housing market is
way more than they were back in
crazy, bro.
1950. Nobody says anything when the cost
Inflation
of
is
milk,
crazy.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Nobody. So, like, we talking about these kids asking for this, or a better and more close to home in this same breath. Like, we gawk when we hear that LeBron James is going to ask for, at the age of 39, $150 million contract for 2 years. But, because he's LeBron James, he deserves it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're saying kids in college who are top tier athletes probably can still go to the NBA or professional. We're saying they shouldn't ask for more than what they're worth. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's put a salary cap on. If you want the kid and you can still get them and keep it under the cap, go get them. If you can't, hey, you handcuffed yourself to all these top tier athletes that you paying, and now you can't get who you want.
And we're gonna talk about this next, actually. But that's the biggest downfall of women's sports right now too, because there is no cap. There's no cap on how much NIL valuation they can have.
Mm-hmm.
So if these women are making $3, $4, $5 million in the league in school to make money off their NIL. Why the hell would they go to the WNBA or to these there's and even with like professional swimmers or like softball players who have high valuation? There's no professional leagues for these women. They have to get all of their money after their college career off of endorsements and going to the Olympics and stuff like that to make this money. So if they're making so much, if they're making, I don't know what you just
something just hit. When you finish, I'm gonna bring it up.
Got you. So why? So and I was almost done. But why the hell would they leave college early to go to their big dream since they were kids to go play professional basketball or be in a professional avenue, whatever sport they play? Why would they leave the $2-3 million that they're getting per year from the NCAA NIL to go make $50,000 in the WNBA? Why the hell would they do that? So if you
they can't anyway, but they can't anyway.
Well, they can't leave early. The women can't for sure. I agreed, yeah. But we talked about that before. They probably should let them. Because Juju going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many good athletes that could possibly go build the audience of the WNBA right now, but they have that rule that they have to get a degree. They have to graduate. So, but there's no money in these women's professional leagues. Why? Because they don't bring in any revenue, so they can't pay them enough. So these women don't have any incentive to go play pro sports because there's no cap on NIL. So if you cap the NIL and say, okay, since the women's league is a little bit less profitable than the men's league, we'll put a cap on them at whatever the highest salary is in the WNBA, cap it at like 25% less than that. Then you can say, okay.
I don't think that's the reason you cap it, but I see where you're going.
Yeah, but what's the reason you cap it then? You tell me what your reason is.
The reason you cap it is to continue to have the parity that college sports has been known to have somewhat in the last couple of years, right? You cap it so those that have it, the Alabamas, the Texas A&Ms, the Texases, Floridas, so on and so forth, so the world can't just shoot out a ton of money at everybody that they want to have them come to the school, and then you have the ability to
for the parity.
Say you have the ability to say, all right, well, we're at our max with NIL. We can't offer you anything else. If you want to come for this, come. If you don't, I mean,
so you do
can't do nothing for you.
So you do it as a cap per school or cap per player?
Cap per school.
Okay,
like a salary cap. So like NBA has a salary cap
per organization. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so
I'm with you.
Just saying NIL cap.
I was saying cap per player. That's what I was saying.
Nah, I don't think I don't think you do it that way. If a player is worth, if you think, or if the collective,
but that goes against the NIL.
If a collection of individuals thinks that this individual is worth this amount, if they can stand to make this amount, then okay, yes. But then the reason I'm saying you put a cap on the NIL is because what is really happening is they're called collectives for schools, a collective of individuals that are tied to a specific school. They're pulling together money and offering it to individuals. That wasn't the original intent of the NIL. The original intent of the NIL was saying, okay, we'll use Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was going out back in his day, signing autographs, making $50,000, so on and so forth. But that's frowned upon. Now they're saying, okay, well, if players want to be able to do that, if somebody's going to pay them to come and sign autographs, or if they make an appearance and they're getting paid for it, all well and good, we'll allow them to do that now. So it's that gray area of what is considered NIL. And so what schools have done is they put together collectives, pull together money, and then they're offering it to individuals. And so we know these big schools have more resources because they've had more graduates that come from their school. They've had more individuals that are probably high ranking and whatnot, more like boosters. Gatorade. Gatorade is a part of Florida. Nike is a part of Oregon. So now you have these pockets of schools that have resources to offer kids to come to their school monetarily as well as the facilities. And so now if you put a cap on what can be paid from these collectives to these individual players, as a whole, then you continue to have that parity that Nick Saban was talking about. So that's why I say you should put a
Nah,
cap
I
on it.
agree. I agree.
Will they be able to do it? I don't know, because again, the NIL, the original intent was not to have collectives involved. It was to say, okay, well, if this individual wants to do a autograph session or whatever, they can make money because of their name, or jersey sales or something like that. I think was one of the main drivers. If the jersey is being sold, a portion of it can go to the player that jersey is being sold for. So I mean, you have to have. I think if Nick Saban's thought about how to bring it in rings true with the revenue share, I think you still need to have a salary cap or NIL cap, whatever the case is. I don't think you need to cap individual players, because then, like you said, that goes against the NIL, and it just goes against capitalism in general. Like if I'm worth something, I want to be paid what I'm worth. I don't want to be paid what somebody else says I'm worth, because that would be socialist, so to speak, is paying everybody the same thing, or everybody getting the same thing, paying into it and then receiving the same thing.
Yeah, and I think that does bring the parity, but then you still, what you were saying about the cap definitely makes more sense than what I was saying about the cap. But because I think what I was saying was women's sports. Women's sports would be so much better if you just change a couple of rules, which we're about to get into actually here in a minute. But
yeah,
I think even with a cap, you're still going to have some of these universities that still have a lot more power than others. But say, for instance, if you got
it's just natural.
Yeah, for sure. But if you say, for instance, you have the number one player in the country, valuation is at $5 million. You can, if everybody, it's going to bring the competition back, of course, of the recruiting competition is going to come back exponentially. Even if you have, say, Alabama, who might have I would just say $15 million cap. Alabama can get that player, but if they've already spent their $15 million, then that gives another school that might only have $5 million to get this one player. So you know what I'm saying? That brings the parity back, because now you can have so many different universities that can fight for all of the players in the nation that have actual chance to win it's kind of funny to win the rights of, but to have this athlete come to their university because they have enough money to pay him and they not have to worry about the cap. What was you about to say? Though?
It could get complicated now, because that the theory of what you said is, if the $5 million recruit coming into college wants to go to Alabama, or is thinking about Alabama, but Alabama's already spent their $15 million theoretical hypothetical cap, and so now that opens it up for other schools. Realistically, Alabama can say, okay, we still want you, we want to offer you that $5 million, but we have to cut some of the fat from our current cap. So like that goes.
Got you.
And the funny thing is it's already gearing up to that, going to that anyway. And schools have general managers now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
Schools have general managers, and the job of a general manager in professional sports is to figure out what's the best talent I can get to keep me under the cap, or get me right at the cap, or for as less as I can pay. And so, I mean, it's whether we want to like it or not, collegiate sports has been professional for so long. The players just haven't gotten paid. Everything about college sports has said that is a professional league. The players don't get paid, but the coaches do. So,
and
the cap is the answer to me.
The cap is the answer, but that turns it. The salary cap would definitely turn it into a professional league, because, say, for instance, like you said in that example you gave about, okay, Alabama has $15 million in their cap. If they want this 5-star player that's worth $5 million, they're gonna cut the fat from the back end of their salary cap to make room to bring in this 5-star player. But if they're cutting the fat off of somebody who is on the team already, trade deadline transfer portal.
Transfer portal. Exactly.
Transfer portal. So now they going to be able to say, okay,
that's
cool.
What I said.
You cut his bread. I got bread to pay him. He can transfer him. I'll give him this money. Now everybody has an opportunity to get any recruit that they want if they cap it out. So
exactly.
That's it, D-Lo. That's the one. That's D1. Yeah. That's D1 right there. Yeah. That's day one.
But sticking with the NIL conversation, you and I obviously we exchange a lot of Instagram posts and social media posts to figure out what we want to talk about. There's a guy, we've talked about the WNBA extensively now for a couple of episodes, but there was a guy saying that the WNBA is in trouble because of NIL and the amount of money that women athletes are making in collegiate sports. So the question is, Sticks, how is the WNBA in trouble? And if so, how do they fix it?
The WNBA has been in trouble, honestly. And the only reason why they're still a league is because the NBA is subsidizing them. Now, the reason why I think the NIL is such a big deal and it means so much to the WNBA is because low key what we just talked about. Like, if these women are making so much more money in NIL in college than they will ever make in the WNBA, because I had it up, but I think I deleted it. I think the average salary of a WNBA player, I think it's like $50K. I can't. I want to.
Nah, the average salary was 123. That's what I saw last time we talked about this. Yeah.
Okay, so it is as of April 2nd of last year, it was 147,745.
Yeah,
but for the 2022 season, it was 102. Okay, so it went up about 45K over the past year. So,
that being said, you have individuals in the WNBA making $60,000 a year.
You do.
Just so we're clear.
Exactly. So on the high end is 147, on the low end is 60K. So
no, that's the average. It's 147.
This one,
I think Brittany Griner or somebody was making $227,000.
You're right. So average being 147, but there are women out there that's making 60K. Yeah. So, but you got people like Juju Watkins that's probably making in the millions per year on her NIL. Why would she go make
Caitlin Clark for sure?
Caitlin Clark for sure making multiple millions per year on her NIL. Why would she go to the WNBA and make 147? And I actually, and I know when we talked about NIL, we talked about Angel Reese and how she said that she is in no rush to go to the WNBA. I never thought about the prospect of a lot of these endorsements that they're getting off the NIL can be taken afterwards. After they leave LSU, Iowa, USC, they have endorsements with different brands that might not be as big as what they have while they're in. So a lot of these endorsements do end whenever they leave college, but they can take some of these with them after they leave. So it's like, if they're making out, they don't have to go. The eagerness to go live out your dream and be a professional athlete is not there for women because they don't make enough money. And the reason why is because they have no fucking revenue. And the biggest thing about the WNBA is that they want to be paid more, but you're not profitable enough to be paid. So we had a conversation. Me and D-Lo had a conversation when we were talking about Juju Watkins. Should they change the rule to be one and done, two and done, whatever, so that this talent that's in college right now for these women can go boost the numbers and the revenue, possibly bring more excitement to the league, because these girls can play now. So why not let them go ahead and get in there? But the WNBA's problem, I think, to me, is pride. They're too prideful. And the women that are in the league don't make it any better because they don't want any change. They don't want to change anything, but they want to make more money. And the biggest thing is revenue share. How can you share nothing? You can't get more of nothing. If you're every single year being in the negative, you want to 0% of zero is what? Zero, nigga. You can't multiply nothing. You can't give you more of nothing. So to make it more exciting, there needs to be some changes. And there have been things passed around as far as lowering the rim and this at the third. And again, I talked about this before. I've went to a Seattle Storm game. Me and my daughter had a really, really good time. But and D-Lo, I didn't think of another analogy, so I'm not gonna say the one that I told you the other night. But
yeah, don't say that, bro.
I'm not gonna say that. But but it's more so that it's not necessarily the game that's exciting. Watching the women play the game, it's the atmosphere around you that they have to keep you in. They have to keep you engaged in the game. So the atmosphere at that game was amazing. Between every quarter, it was something going on. People in the crowd coming around, crowd engagement, stuff like that, because they understand that the women's game isn't as exciting as the men's game. And there has to be some changes. But yes, to answer the question, D-Lo, it is in trouble. And it does have a lot to do with NIL because they don't get paid as much in the league, which is crazy, in the league than they getting paid as in college. What you think, D-Lo?
So I'm kind of on the, I don't want to say I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Kind of somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's as much of an issue as people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I don't think it is much of an issue as people think it is because of the eligibility rule that they already have in place, right? So you can't enter into the WNBA until you've spent domestically, if you're a domestic player, till you've been 4 years removed from high school or have gone to a university and graduated. If you're international, you can come into the league at 20. That makes no sense to me, but
that's only 2 years removed. If
right, that makes no sense to me. I don't know why you wouldn't have a universal rule where you have to be 22 to come into the league. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So players already aren't in a hurry to get to the WNBA because they know that they have to go at least 4 years after high school before they can play in the WNBA. Now, with the introduction of the NIL and with players making the money like a Caitlin Clark, like a Angel Reese, like a Hannah Hidalgo, who I don't know if she's on the level of money making as Juju, but she was a hell of a player as a freshman at Notre Dame this year as well. So if those players can make that type of money in college from endorsements, from their name, image, and likeness, then yeah, you would think that does cause an issue for the WNBA because you have players like Angel Reese that publicly say, I'm in no rush to get to the WNBA because I'm making so much money in college. That is where the issue comes because how can a player, amateur, again, air quotes for those that are listening, how can an amateur player make more money than a professional player? That makes no sense. So, that is where the issue comes. But is it a true issue? I don't think it's a true issue because they already can't go to the league anyway. Now, if they had the same rule as the NBA where you can go to league at 19, then and players are just like, I'm good. I'll stay in college for a little bit. And so if they stay and then like the crop isn't a good word, the batch of individuals that they expect to go to the league just don't go because they've made the money that they want to make in college, or like they get hurt staying in college, or so whatever the case is, where they just don't end up going to the professional ranks, then that's where the issue becomes. But if they can still make the money in college, if they can still get the following that they've gotten in college and bring that to the WNBA, I think that only helps the WNBA because one, now they don't really have to worry about paying the top tier dollar for these stars because they've already made their money in the college. If they've invested it well, they could make just as much money from their investments from college as they would make in the WNBA. But then that also lessens the contract, the amount of contracts that they have to pay for these stars, which we've heard a lot of that coming from the NBA and NFL, which is why they say they have these certain age restrictions in place, because you let an 18-year-old kid come into the league and let's say he has a 10-year career, you have to pay him that much more money. However, if you let a 20-year-old kid come into the league, statistically, he's not going to make it to year 10 because of the wear and tear on his body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to phase out. Same principle with the WNBA.
Agreed.
Yeah. So how they fix it, obviously how the WNBA would fix it is, we all know that they need to bring in more attention to the league.
Agreed.
They need to attract more fans, attract more viewers. And so I feel like we've talked about this before, they absolutely need to lower that age restriction or eligibility to get into the league to allow some of these players who, money might not be the thing that they really want. They really want to be professional. They might hate school. And, I've talked about that before. They might hate school and just say, I really don't care. Just give me a couple 100,000 and I'm good anyway. I just want to play basketball. I don't care about school at all. You let them individuals come in the league, they bring in their following. That helps to attract a different type of fan, because you think that Caitlin Clark isn't going to have a handful of fans follow her to the WNBA.
100%. A handful. She's going to have at least the state of Iowa is going to go watch her play.
That's what I'm saying. Right. You know what
I'm saying?
Sure. So, and you have these individuals in college, right? Like women's college basketball right now is talked about more than men's college basketball, I would say. And if it's not, I would say more people know of Juju, of Caitlin, of these individual players than I can't name you individual players for a men's team right now. I can tell you who Caitlin Clark is. I can tell you who, like a freshman, Hannah Hidalgo. I think I'm saying her last name right. For
Hidalgo, yep.
For Notre Dame. And then a freshman basketball player, I think her name is Booker for Arizona or Arizona State.
Can't remember.
No. She won Player of the Year, co-player, Texas. She plays for Texas. She won co-player of the year in the Big 12. When have I ever followed women's college basketball like that? Never. So, but I can tell you who these players are now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't tell you who individuals are for men's basketball. So that says a lot. So these individuals can take that notoriety, take their name, take it to the WNBA. That can only help the WNBA. Another thing, you briefly mentioned it, they need to lower the rims. And I know we hear, the women, they don't want to, no, that's going to mess up our shot, so on and so forth. You already play with a smaller ball. You already shoot from a shorter 3-point line. Your quarters are shorter. You know what I mean? Okay. Shorten
the rim.
Shorten the rim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that hurts the high school level, because now you have to get different rims for the men and the girls and the boys.
Or you have to get the adjustable ones in opposed to the ones that lower from the roof.
Right.
You got to get the adjustable ones now. So they might have that little bit more budget in that, but still.
Exactly. So that requires a different cost. But I mean, we're talking about professional, lower the rim. That helps, right? Another thing is they probably need to introduce something different that the men's game doesn't offer. They introduced a 4-point shot at the All-Star game last year. Probably need to introduce the 4-point shot as a way to go. And you wouldn't be able to do it in the NBA because the NBA is a lot more mature than the WNBA.
And they already got people shooting, multiple people in the league shooting from the 4-point line. So it's like, it wouldn't be I think it would be exciting still in the NBA, but we expect the men to shoot from that far. We don't expect women to do that, to be perfect. From what I saw with the WNBA, the 4-point shot was like, it was at the 3-point line of on each side of the court. So they had 2 spots on each side of the court. Oh, got you. Yeah.
But in order to be considered a 4-point shot, you had to be touching that spot.
Got you.
Right. So introduce something like that. And the reason I brought the NBA into it is because I don't think the NBA could introduce something like that, because they have an extensive history already, and they've already increased a shot points for a shot before.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, it's about the same time as the WNBA is, about the same age as the WNBA is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if the I don't know why I'm struggling to say WNBA, but if the WNBA was to introduce that now, it'd be about the same, cause the same score trajectory change as the NBA did.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think you do stuff like that to get interest in the game, to get more viewers. Let players come into the league earlier than they can. Lower the rim. Have a different scoring or something of a sort. And you need to do that in order to fix the issue that you currently have, because the issue is you don't have the fans attracted, you don't have the viewers viewing your game, which means you don't have the ad revenue coming in, which means you don't have the TV deals, which means you can't pay the players what they probably should be paid. And the collegiate players can, and so that's why you're getting what you're getting.
I agree, man. I mean,
sorry to go so long.
Oh no, you good, you good. My last point is, I told you about the video that I watched on YouTube. How do you feel about there being players that are saying that the women within the league are sabotaging their own league? Because I told you about the whole Candace Wiggins situation and how she said that she wanted to play longer. She played 9 seasons, I think. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Candace Wiggins was a number 3 draft pick, said that the WNBA is toxic. She retired at the age of 29 because she said she wanted to play 2 more seasons of WNBA, but the experience in the league didn't lend itself to her mental state. She said it was depressing. It was not watched. Their value was diminished. It can be quite hard, but it didn't make the culture. But I didn't like the culture inside the WNBA. And without revealing too much, it was toxic for me and my spirit was being broken. Basically, she went on to say, I don't know if I want to talk about that, but basically she said she was being bullied by a lot of the women in the WNBA because she was a heterosexual female and she didn't fit the narrative of what the league is. Do you think that's still, because she retired back in 2017. So, and she was only 29 years old. She said she wanted to play way longer, but the experience that she had with most of the players in there, she said it because it was 98% LGBTQ. And she said it was a conformist type of place in the WNBA. Do you think that's still going on now? Because I know a lot of people are saying that something like this could happen to a Juju Watkins. Something like this could happen to a why do I always draw a blank on this girl named Caitlin Clark? Something like this could happen to like an Angel Reese, like because they are heterosexual women going into the league where there's been every week there's been people saying that it is conformist, and then a lot of them are, not straight players, and they want them to conform to their ideals. Do you think that's still going on?
I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak on that. The only thing that I know is, I mentioned this to you, is I draw a blank on this woman's name all the time. Skylar Diggins.
There you go.
Skylar Diggins has been out of the league for a little bit because she gave birth to her child.
She's coming back though. She played with the Storm now. I'm going to see her play too. She's
publicly talked about how it's been a struggle to get back into the league, and how individuals have seemed to try to sabotage her. And she's dealt with, there's other things that come with her pregnancy, her post-pregnancy, the postpartum syndrome, so on and so forth. So I can't necessarily say if the league is a conformist league because of the amount of homosexual individuals in the league and trying to get others to conform to their way of thinking. But I do know that there are a handful of individuals that are heterosexual that have thrived in the WNBA. You got Sabrina Ionescu, who just got married, by the way. You have Kelsey Plum, who is married to Darren Waller. You did say she does give off a butch type vibe, but I mean, you can give off a vibe, but what you actually are is something completely
100%.
different.
Agreed.
So and I know there are a handful of other De'Erica Hamby, I believe. I don't know if she is or isn't, but I know she recently. Well, her daughter is she's a little older. She's like 5 years old now, but she had a kid as well. So I mean, I don't know if I can necessarily agree with that completely because I'm not a part of the WNBA.
Mhm.
I can only tell you what I see, and from what I see, I think it's a little bit of it's a mixed bag of both in that league. Now it could be tough because of what they deal with the pay that they receive,
Mhm.
with everything else that they have to do. They used to have to do in the off season. Brittany Griner going overseas to play
Mhm.
basketball to get the money that she thinks she's worth. But I mean, that's all I can say. I can't say anything else really.
Yeah, I just found it puzzling that it was coming from a former player that was in the league that says, "Man, this league is self-sabotaging itself. It's
Yeah.
conformist. It's they if you don't subscribe to their ideals, then you're going to be casted out or bullied and things of that nature." So it's like I just found it shocking that it was coming from somebody who was actually there to say they self-sabotage themselves. But I mean, the WNBA has been garnering more eyes because they do have some talent and they do have a lot of talent in college that's going to be coming out. They do have some women that's going to be able to bring more eyes to the league, and not to mention the WNBA is finding ways to implement them in a lot of different events that they're doing, especially the All-Star Weekend with Sabrina, the 3-point shot against the 3-point contest against Steph Curry. Like, they're bringing a lot more eyes to the game, and again, it's not a bad atmosphere whenever you go to a game. I've been to one. I plan on going to another because, like D'Lo said, Skylar Diggins-Smith, she's going to be in Washington. She's playing for the Seattle Storm now, so I'm going to go to some games to see Skylar play because she hoops. She can hoop. So, but just one last thing before we move on. 52% of fans are men, and only 23% of fans are female, and 77% say that they're not a fan at all. They don't care. So it's like,
What?
yeah, that's just,
Read that again.
of women. So like I said,
Oh,
23% of women are actual fans, 19% of those being casual, but 77% say they don't care. 59% of fans are men and 32% of that says they are avid
I mean
fans.
that
So it's
seems right to me.
right, and the other 41% say they don't care. So it's like most of the fans so they need to figure out a way to. I think, to be perfectly honest, if they want more fans to come to their games, they need to figure out a way to appeal to women. Honestly, because men are going to watch sports regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I sometimes find myself I watched the WNBA finals, the last game, because I wanted to watch the Aces repeat. I wanted to watch that, and I actually did watch it. It was a good game, but it's just it doesn't keep your interest for long, bro. Like, I find myself wandering off a lot when I'm watching WNBA basketball. I don't find myself doing that too much when I'm watching NBA. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're on a good track to bring in more revenue for the WNBA. I just think they need to do something different. I think lowering the rim, implementing something different is going to bring more eyes because it's going to be something people will want to see. So, but get female fans, you're going to make some bread.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So on the recent episode of The Shop,
Mm-hmm.
Nelly talks about how the early 2000s was the hardest era in hip hop, stating, "When I put out songs, I had to go against DMX, Jay-Z, Eminem, Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, Luda. All of us were fighting for one spot. So from 99 to '08 or 2010, it's the hardest era ever." Sticks, what are your thoughts on Nelly's statement?
Oh man, I think because we grew up through the 90s and the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
We were, of course, way younger in the 90s, but in the 2000s, when we were able to actually listen and comprehend and actually understand a lot more music. The 90s had a dope ass era though, but I think there's a lot of validity to what Nelly was saying, because between 2000 and 2010, bro, some bangers, dog. Like, some of the greatest artists came from that era. high key. You know what I'm saying? So like, where is it at? So in the 2000s, this is the top 10 artists, and this is talking about albums. I don't want albums, but the top 10 artists in the 2000s, you got people like Andre 3 Stacks, Outkast as a group was dope as hell in the early 2000s from 2000 to 2010. You got Nas at number 9. Nas was fire in the 90s. So you got Jeezy, you got Cam, you got T.I., you got Nelly, you got Kanye, who he started in the early 2000s. You got 50, like he said, Lil Wayne, who I think his run of the number one rapper was early 2000s. He dominated that, you know what I'm saying? Eminem, who people don't give enough credit, but Eminem is, in my eyes, if I'm being 100% honest with y'all, I think Eminem is the greatest rapper alive. But a lot of people won't agree with that. And then, of course, you got Jay-Z. So, but a lot of people don't agree that Jay-Z, and I get a lot of slack for this. A lot of people don't agree that Jay-Z had a lot of great albums, and a lot of people don't think that Jay-Z has ever been the hottest rapper out. But a lot of lists put him at number one. But to get back to the topic, me personally, I do agree that the early 2000s, the 2000 to 2010, that decade of rap was probably the hardest rap ever. The hardest, because you had so many artists that was dropping bangers, not just banger albums, but bangers, like singles were going crazy. Like you got so many memorable songs there's so many classic songs, and honestly, so many classic albums that came from the 2010s. But if you want to go back for real to the 90s, I mean, you got your Nas's of the world, you got your Tupacs, your Biggies, your Ice Cubes. DMX was really prominent in the mid to late 90s. Snoop, Master P, like you got a Dr. Dre, like you got a lot of great artists there. But bruh, to be perfectly honest, they ain't touching the 2020, that decade from 2000 to 2010. They ain't touching it, bro. I ain't gonna lie. What you think, Dilo? What was your perspective of that?
I mean, I think that you honestly said pretty much everything that I would have said. Nelly has a valid statement with what he said about the early 2000s being the hardest era. You just look at the names that he mentioned. And then, but you take the names that he didn't mention, and you mentioned the majority of that, I would say Kanye, Nas, T.I., Outkast, The Game. The Game had a classic
The Game had
album.
a dumb classic. The documentary?
The documentary was a classic, right? Drake's mixtape was going crazy around
Stupid.
07, 09. You know what I mean? It wasn't the peak Drake, but it was still when he started his career. So we're talking about sheer talent and the amount of cats that contributed to hip hop in its current state came from that early. The South was going crazy.
The South was going stupid.
So like when you talk about that era of hip hop, I understand what Nelly is saying. He wasn't saying like it was the hardest as far as, you know, getting mainstream, because hip hop was
booming.
Really, that's when it crossed over the mainstream was around 2000s and beyond. Mm-hmm. But he was saying just as far as being the guy, he had to compete with the likes of who he mentioned, the Jay-Z's, the DMX's, the Eminems, the Lil Waynes, the 50 Cents, the Ludas, because they were going to put out something every year that you was going to at least 1 to 2, 4 songs off the album. You can be like, yeah, I can play this. This is my joint, right? Or the album is just top notch, top tier. But Method Man on Carmelo Anthony and what's his name? Kid Miro?
I can't remember.
Honestly. What from 7 p.m. in Brooklyn?
Okay,
that podcast. Yeah. Shout out to Mello and Kid Miro. But Method Man said he was like he can. What did Method Man say? He said he thinks all the eras were tough, especially the ones when hip hop wasn't widely accepted. I can definitely understand that as well, because like that would be like us saying we got it so hard right now compared to our ancestors who was in the field picking cotton and stuff, right? Like,
right.
like we got it easy
We
compared
got it way easier, right?
we don't see the discrimination and the racism that they used to see. Same
Mhm.
thing with the 2000s. Those cats that was in the 80s and early 90s, people was buying CDs just to throw it on the street and on television and burn them. Hip hop was not widely accepted early on.
Mhm.
But that's not what Nelly was talking about. Nelly was talking about the sheer competition
The sheer
of the
competition,
sport
yes.
of hip hop.
Mhm.
And like I think it's a valid statement.
I think it's a super valid statement, man. But you know, you're gonna have people that say, "Oh nah, man," you know, because we have the most of our audience is around our age, maybe a little bit older, and I think. Well, I can't even say that because I'm about to say I think that they would agree that the late '90s, early 2000s, up in like Nelly said, from like 98 to 2010 was probably the best decade of rap. And
Yep.
but I mean, you'll get a lot of people that
I
go
don't know
back.
I don't know if I could say no. But it's like the NBA though. It's like the NBA. The
I was about to bring
90s
that up
was
too.
the
You're right.
golden era
Mm-hmm.
of hip hop, right? That's when
Mhm.
everybody is like it's crossed over and everybody is like, "Oh, did you hear the Tupac album? Oh, did you hear the
Did you
Biggie album?"
did you hear All Eyes on Me? Did you hear
You know what I
what you
mean?
think about A Reasonable Doubt? Did you
Right.
think that was good?
Right. It was widely accepted, right? You know, so
Right.
you had it wasn't as underground as it used to be.
Very true.
So, but when you say the golden era of rap,
Do you think
it's hard to
you
argue
see what I'm
against.
saying? Yeah.
It's hard to argue against the 90s. R&B 100%. 90s no era was better in my opinion.
I think early
But
2000. I think early 2000 music to me was super duper peak in the early 2000s, bro. Even R&B music, bro. But R&B is something that like you can go back to the 70s and 80s to find some dope ass bangers. 90s was great though. I do agree with you. 90s was great. It's just it's so, bro, you gotta think about it like, but it's exactly like you said. It's evolved so much.
Yeah.
Like just like you brought up basketball. It evolved from the 80s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, which I think a lot of people would agree was the golden era of basketball. But like now, like the game has evolved so much that they had to change rules. They had the athletes are getting bigger, faster, stronger. Like everything is going to evolve as it goes along. To me personally, music has gotten worse. Music has gotten worse. The 90s and early 2000s, great. 2010 to 2020, okay. Now, music is ass. Like I don't listen to much music anymore. I used to wait for albums. I used to every week, every Friday on Apple Music, I used to go on and say, okay, what's the new album of the week? Like who dropped this week? Who dropped this Friday? I used to do that all the time and actually listen to albums. I don't do that no more. So it's like, so it might be somebody who might say they drop in like just like Meek Mill dropped this EP. I listened to it. It was ass, but I listened to it. You know, the only song that was on there was the one with him and Future. Yeah, whatever. But I don't do that no more. I'll look for a couple of people. Like when J. Cole drops his, when J. Cole drops his, I'm definitely gonna listen. If Andre 3 Stacks was actually drop an actual rap album, I listen to that. Like D-Lo even said too, like he don't listen to as much music as he used to. So it's like, but whenever the early 2000s, you was definitely listening to music. You had everybody drop an album. Shit, you had DMX drop 2 albums in a year. So it's like, come on, bro. I think if we might be on the other end of this, but I think the early 2000 to 2010 best era of music, regardless if it's rap or R&B. Like best era of music.
I can't agree with you on that. But
you think that because you listen to a lot of old school R&B. I do too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But hip hop definitely. You said R&B is different though.
Yeah, I think 90s hip hop is
90s R&B.
Yeah, 90s R&B is the deal. My fault. You're right. All right, but let me ask you this question. Sticking with what Nelly said about the 2000s being the hardest and why, let's talk about why it was the hardest, right?
Okay.
So he mentioned specific individuals,
and
you briefly mentioned some other individuals that he didn't mention. Who are some others that contributed to that decade that, you know, individuals might not say, "Oh, they're the top. They're my top. They're my top list." But if you go back to that era, they definitely contributed to it being one of the hardest. I'll start with producers: Timbaland,
Oh,
Swiss
100%.
Beats,
Yes, bro.
Just Blaze,
Yes,
Pharrell,
bro.
Ye Again. So start with those. Those individuals alone help mold that era.
Agreed.
Then let's go to the artists. The ones that you mentioned or we mentioned before. You got Nas, you got Kanye,
Mm-hmm.
you got Outkast. Who else did you say?
50.
Well, 50 was on the list that he said
True.
though.
True.
T.I.,
T.I.
The Game,
Yep.
right? But let's talk about some people that Missy
Was
going
fire.
crazy
Yeah, bro.
with the albums
Busta
early
Rhymes.
2000s. Eve, Paul Wall, Mike Jones, Jadakiss, Clips. Niggas still doing the Clips
Most
beat
Def.
from grinding nowadays.
Yeah.
Cam and Dipset was going
Cam and
crazy
Dipset,
back
yeah.
then.
Mm-hmm.
I love Fab. Fab was going
Fab
crazy
was going
back then with the
stupid.
features alone.
Yes.
So I mean, like
yes,
that
sir.
era was just crazy, man, with the type of talent that was in that era. Can you think of anybody else? I think I named pretty much everybody.
The person
Lil Jon and the East Side Boys.
Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, Yin Yang Twins.
You know what I mean?
They had some bangers back in the day.
These are individuals, exactly. These are individuals that you wouldn't say are the best rappers and whatnot, but they
who had an
contribute to the
influence.
competition.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
sir.
They definitely contribute to the competition at the times.
I don't know if you can say he rapped, but somebody who had a huge influence on the game of music, T-Pain, who we talked about.
T-Pain, yeah,
but
rapper turned singer.
But actually, who somebody else who came with a different type of flow, Twista, was crazy in the early 2000s, bro. Like it was so many. It was so many. We just talked about Fab, bruh. Fat Joe, come on, bruh. Like and Big Pun, Jada,
Big Pun. But didn't Big Pun Jadakiss exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Big Pun die in 2000?
Did he die in 2000? When did Big Pun die? Let me look it up real quick. I'm on here. When did Big Pun die? He died early 2000. You're right. Damn, so he was 90s low key. But
yeah.
But that's crazy. I didn't know. But I did know he died. But damn, that's crazy. But nah, the early 2000s of rap was so fire, bro. Like and we talk about this all the time, how we wish like music could just go back to the way it was, bro. Cause it was so much better, bro. A decade ago. Like shit, 2 decades ago was so much better. But
it was all good just a week ago.
I wish that was true. I wish that was true, but it's not. It's not, bro. And like music now is just so ass, bro. Like I can't listen to music, and there's not a lot of music out there that I want my daughter to listen to. Because it's so bad, bro. It's so much propaganda and so much shit that's being pushed to our young listeners and our young viewers now that you don't even want to turn the radio on. Whenever I'm in the car, nowadays, maybe it's because that we got the podcast now, but whenever I'm in the car now, I don't even listen to the radio. I don't listen to Apple Music. I don't listen to Spotify. I don't listen to iHeartRadio. I don't listen to Pandora. I'm on YouTube. I'm in the car on YouTube. I got a 2-hour drive. Well, most of the time, like an hour and a half. But usually it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I'm in the car commuting. 4-hour round trip. I have no music on in my car. It's all YouTube. Either it's for research purposes or something that I'm interested in listening to. On YouTube. I don't even listen to music no more because it's so bad. But if I can go back to high school days and college days from 2003, from 99 to 2008, 2009 when I graduated, the peak of music, bro. Peak. Rap music in D-Lo. I'm going to agree with D-Lo because we're talking about rap right now. The peak of rap music between 98 and 2009, 2010, like Nelly said, peak of rap music, bro. It was so amazing.
As far as competition is concerned.
As far as quality of music too, dog. What you mean?
But yeah, quality competition, they kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, 100%. And the reason I say 90s R&B is probably the peak, the golden age of R&B is because you have so many instrumentals that are being taken from that time. You know what I mean? From 90s R&B that are
That's
used in
true.
today's times, and then before as well. I mean, you do have those collection of individuals from old school R&B, the Michael Jackson, the Worlds, the Stevie Wonders,
Mhm.
those type of individuals where their music is sampled quite heavily. Um, so I just feel like the 90s R&B was 2000s, early 2000s was good as well, but I just think 90s R&B is a little bit above the 2000s.
Yeah, y'all let us know in the comments, man. Do y'all think 90s
Oh,
R&B
they're
was
gonna let
great?
us know already. We already know.
Of course they're gonna tell us. But do y'all think 90s R&B was better than 2000s R&B? And do you agree with Nelly that from that decade from early 2000s, from 2000 to 2010 was the best decade of rap? Let us know what you think in the comments, man. But
I just realized I think I took your segment. So by all means.
oh yeah, I was just gonna go. I was gonna flow right into it. It's all good. But I'm not on TikTok as much as the next person. I'm actually rarely on there unless my lady or somebody from the gaming group or you might send me something from TikTok, which well, you don't
When
even
have
do
I
that.
sent you something from
I was just
TikTok?
about to say you don't even do that. But like if a friend might send me a TikTok or something, I might click on it, watch that TikTok, get the fuck right back off. So I'm not on TikTok.
Mhm.
So it doesn't affect me as much. But will definitely affect my daughter, will definitely affect uh content creators in the space, but it's most likely gonna get about a gonna that's crazy about to get banned.
That's the title.
It's a gonna get crazy. That's the title. But it's a gonna get crazy is the title. But it's probably gonna get banned in the US, and the main reason for that is because the owner of TikTok, ByteDance, is assumed, or they're saying that they're selling critical information to China. D-Lo, should TikTok get banned, and why should it get banned if you agree that it should?
So I'm going to say yes, it should get banned.
Okay, talk about it.
And the reason I feel like it should be get banned is just because of global government gamemanship. A lot of
Okay,
people, they may know or they may not know, Facebook has been banned in China since 2010
did
or
not know that.
for
Well,
some time.
I did know that actually. Yeah,
Google has been banned in China since 2010. So, and it's because of national security issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if we're talking about a particular platform being banned, and America is supposed to be all about anti-censorship and so on and so forth.
Freedom of
Well,
speech, yada yada.
freedom of speech and whatnot, and you feel like the reason that TikTok, and I don't, this shit is over my head, so I don't really know for sure what the government officials, what they have that made them make this decision. Only the fact that ByteDance, which is the company that owns TikTok or owns a portion of TikTok, half
Mm-hmm.
of TikTok, I don't know what it is, but it's been assumed that they have been feeding or are feeding information to the Chinese government about Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far that stretches. Don't have a leg to stand on in that. But if we're talking about one country saying no, you can't, this cannot be accessed in our country, and then us being upset because we've had a particular platform for quite some time, or for a little bit of time, and now it won't no longer be offered to us. I mean, it's been done in the other country for so long. So I mean, they're gonna play victim and act like we're doing them a disservice and we're doing Chinese wrong for not allowing them to have ability to make money in this country, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, tit for tat, it is what it is. I'm struggling with this because I know like there are a ton of individuals that do utilize TikTok as a means to make money for the content. TikTok does pay top dollar, I think I saw, when it comes to content creators. But
Pay a good amount, yeah.
yeah, but if we're talking about national security, again, I don't know what it is that has allowed our officials to make this decision, other than agitating Chinese government and pushing us in further into a war, which I feel like that's what it is actually doing. But you know, I don't know what to say, man. I feel like it could go either way. It could be fine if they continue to allow Americans to use TikTok, but then it doesn't necessarily, we don't necessarily have to do it, especially if we feel like there's a loophole that's getting them whatever data they feel like the Chinese government is getting from users in America using TikTok.
But they got to feel like it's something that's that China can use against us, because they've already banned it, and all no government officials can have it on any government any government, like their phones, their iPads, their computers. They've already banned it there to that level. So
Yeah.
it's got to be something that's critical that they think that they're feeding China that would possibly, like D'Lo said, put us into a war. But in a sense of that, Montana's also done it. Like there's dozens of states that there's actually a couple of dozen of states that have banned it on in universities, state level. Like nobody can have it. So it's like, well, not that they can't have it, but they just can't have it on government issued technology, government issued devices. So in a sense of, should it be banned? I mean, I'm the one that talks about all the time on the show that social media is what has flipped our world upside down anyway. Because there's, it's a place where, of course, freedom of speech is freedom of speech. Everybody has their freedom of speech. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Whatever ideas you have is what ideas you have. But
You'll have people say, "Can you really?" With all of the,
but we've talked about here too that freedom of speech ain't really free too. We talked about that here
right.
too. So, but at the same time, it's so many different. With social media and your ability to reach a mass of people so quickly, you can push so many different ideas and so much propaganda and so much bullshit on these platforms that can have an effect on a lot of different people, especially our children, man. That's what I worry about. But it's one that's why, this whole, that's why feminism low key kind of changed. At one point, the first wave of feminism was amazing, but this new wave is kind of weird. That's why, there's a lot of inclusion now. That's why there's this red pill alpha male wave now. That's why there's this wave of degeneracy on TikTok and all these live streamers. That's why there's so much degeneracy on social media now that it's annoying, to the point where if social media went away, I wouldn't give a fuck. I wouldn't. Just, why can't we? I follow. I don't know if you follow this page on Instagram, but it's this kid called, this dude named Retro Kid Ben, and he posts like these random, like he's just walking out in his front yard with a sound in the background with a message on the screen, how it used to be back in the day. And bruh, we would be on our bikes from 9 in the morning until 9 at night. As long as we was in the house before them street lights came on, we was good, bro. And that's how we got our, that's how we were in society. That's how we were social, which we were experiencing shit. Now it's just social media. You get your experiences and your information through social media. And it's like, bro, that nobody is, social media is another reason why the dating scene is ass and nobody can find nobody to be in a relationship with. It's like social media has damaged a lot of our society. And we benefit from it because we have the podcast and we have things to talk about and we go do our research, a lot of social media, news outlets, things like that. But TikTok is just another cog in that social media wheel, bro. And if it gets banned, I wouldn't give a fuck. I wouldn't. It doesn't involve me because we rarely use it, which is probably a downfall of ours because we probably could have been more popping if we used it more. But if it's gonna get banned, it's gonna get banned. I mean, I don't think it hurts us as much as I would think so. I don't know if you agree with that, but social media is a driving force of a lot of content creators, and if it goes away, they're the ones really gonna be fucked because they ain't got no.
Well,
skills.
social media is a driving force for a lot of business and businesses in general, right? So they use it as a way to gain notoriety, to spread information,
because it's so fast.
To draw attention to whatever it is that they want to draw attention to. But it's also one of the reasons why as you mentioned, these different genres of content creation have popped up because it's easy to get a pocket of the internet that agrees with what you're doing or is appealed to the things that you are doing or the things that you're talking about
Yeah.
in on your platform. So when you have these individuals that go out and do pranks, then somebody's going to like it because some of it's funny, and then somebody else is going to follow them. Or you have pockets of individuals that believe in whatever extremist belief that they have. You have a collection of individuals out there that also believe that, and so now they're their own community. So you have these different communities, digital communities on the internet because of social media. Whereas
Facts.
before, you actually had to either be in the same location as somebody, you had to talk by telephone, or you actually had to go out and do some work to get this type of audience. So it's definitely a power in social media, but that power also, with power sometimes is used for negativity, or can be, the perspective can change of what it was intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we talked about the other night with TikTok was, um, you were saying how the perspective of what is shown on TikTok in the United States is different from what is shown in China.
Mm-hmm.
And so you felt like that was one of the reasons why it could possibly get banned. And I said, I feel like is shown, that is shown in other platforms. What they show on TikTok in the United States is shown on other platforms in the United States in general. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how we, it's what we do. That's that freedom of speech. If you can create it, if somebody's going to observe it and obtain in it or be entertained by it, by all means, go ahead and do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at what is showed on TikTok in China or in other countries, it's more educational stuff. And then I
Mm-hmm.
believe right after that was displayed, TikTok introduced a STEM channel on it where you can look at like educational specific stuff
Got you.
and not get into all of the crap that is offered on TikTok. So I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know
Take discovery
exactly.
to a new level with the STEM feed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know exactly why it is being banned in the United States. Um, the only thing that I can think of is, like I said, it's not, Facebook is not offered in China. You can't access it. Google
Mm-hmm.
is not accessed in China, and so these companies probably have lobbied. Well, if they can't look at our stuff, or if they can't access our stuff over there, why should we have access to one of their products that they're offering here in the United States?
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but, and I don't know why it's being banned, but again, like you, I don't have an issue with it. I think maybe it'll just push everybody to Instagram, Snapchat, and all that stuff,
Meta,
and yeah,
X,
so
yeah, and
yeah,
because I mean, it's just one of those things where if they're trying to force him to sell, then they're not gonna let Zuckerberg buy it because that's him monopolizing the market. They're trying to find some, like, what do they call it? They trying to find a bunch of people
a
that
buyer,
they're trying to find, but it's somebody that was trying to put it. I forget the word
venture capitalists,
that. Yeah, but it's like a group of people to put in to buy TikTok. It's a specific word for it. I can't find it now for whatever reason. But yeah, so
angel investors.
yeah. I
I mean, angel investors are. It wouldn't be angel investors. Angel investors are like
consortium?
individual.
Is that the word?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a collection of individuals.
Either way. But yeah, they're not gonna let Mark Zuckerberg buy that motherfucker though. Yeah.
Yeah,
He can't
I
because
mean,
he owns too
but
much.
that's another thing though. Like it doesn't really matter if TikTok is sold to whoever. Like we know Facebook has stolen so many ideas and incorporated it into their products
Mm-hmm.
for quite some time. They took They took what was that one before Snapchat? Vine. They took
Vine.
Vine
Yep. Vine.
and
Yep.
introduced their stories. They took Snapchat's. No, they took Vine and introduced videos.
Mm-hmm.
They took Snapchat's idea, introduced stories,
Mm-hmm.
and then so on and so forth. So I mean, and the same thing can go with China. Like China doesn't allow you to have certain things in their country, but there is markets and markets and markets of different products where they've like took in essentially like you can get an iPhone that's not an iPhone in China because they stripped it down, figured out what makes it what, and built the, you know what I mean? And so it's so many products like that in China where you have to have a different type of patent in order to for it to be used. Or if you can't, then they'll just take that idea and make it something similar, and it's just a black market product of what you have
Mm-hmm.
or what you offer here in the United States that you've created. So I mean, tit for tat, man. We've been at it with other countries, China, Russia, so on and so forth for quite some time now. So, like, I think it's just a little back and forth global government gamesmanship, trying to see what we can do, what we can get away with. That won't necessarily cause a war, but will agitate the other country. So I fully expect for China to come back with something else,
True.
something to agitate us. It's like, all right, y'all really gonna do this? All right.
Exactly. So if it get banned, it get banned. If it don't, it don't. I mean, it don't bother me much. I mean, but the ban will hurt some people who consider themselves content creators. So you gotta have to find a skill, dog. If you ain't got no skill,
Yeah.
then figure it out. Figure it out.
So I'm glad you said that, and we are way over time. Might as well keep on going. Doesn't
All
matter
good,
to
yeah.
me. Sticking with the find a skill and content creation. Did you see the post that Mr. Beast, the social media post that Mr. Beast put up
I
not too
did
long ago?
not. What did he say?
All right, in a social media post, Mr. Beast says it's painful to see people quit their jobs, drop out of school to make content full time before they're ready. For every person like me that makes it, thousands don't. Keep that in mind. Stay smart, please. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about his comments on basically he was saying it's painful to see all these people now saying that they want to be content creators rather than finding another avenue or trying to dip their toe in and fully jump into the content creation field without fully being ready, without having other things in place to support themselves. How do you feel about that?
I kind of agree with Mr. Beast because content, as we both full know, content creation is hard, bro. Content creation is hard, and you have to. And we talked about this before on the show, is that most people just want to have that moment of virality, and if they get that moment of virality, then they feel like they can benefit off of that one moment. We're living in a microwave society, bro. So everything is quick, instant gratification. So somebody like Mr. Beast is definitely the anomaly of content creation. Like you have to have some kind of skill. You have to be creative. You have to be entertaining. You have to be a lot of different things to do YouTube. So, and Mr. Beast is all of those things. And he's I want to say the highest subscribed channel on YouTube.
No, it's
Is it PewDiePie? Who is it?
no, it's some. We looked at it the other day. It
We
wasn't
did.
Mr. Beast, surprisingly. It was some other. I think it's an international channel. It's like a
That's
Indian
right.
music
That's
channel.
right. It is the Indian record label T series.
Yes,
261 million subscribers. So
Yeah.
so got you. But
and that's only a quarter of their population, which is crazy. Indian population.
Crazy. He's the highest subscribed American YouTuber though.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So I just saw that. So I mean, but he is the anomaly, and just like he said, out of thousands of people who try to be content creators, there's only a few of those that actually make it. And it's the same thing we talked about with the NFL and professional basketball and football. Like with the 1%, you got to be that 1% to actually make it and have a career in whatever whatever that profession is as far as sports. It's the same thing with TikTok, man, because it's so saturated that everybody wants to be content creators, and you have to find a way to stick out. If you don't have that skill or that entertainment value, they're not going to watch. They're not going to watch. So I agree with Mr. Beast. Like sometimes it's getting to a point now where, again, social media is taking over the fucking world, that everybody now wants to be content creators. That was, I think, a couple of years back, that was the most sought after job in the world, was a content creation.
Not. I don't think. Well, yeah. It obviously. I guess it should. It was the most sought after. But you have that as the number one profession or career that kids want to pursue when asked in school. What do you want to be when you grow up? The number one answer now is content creation. Whereas before it was like astronaut,
Doctor, lawyer, professional athlete,
basketball.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Now it's content creation, and it's just again. We all, to some form of fashion. Some of us care less about attention. Some of us want all the attention, but we all want some type of attention, some form of fashion. And social media has been one of those avenues where you can get attention for whatever you do. If it goes viral, you can get attention, the spotlight put on you for just enough time to make you feel like you're somebody in this world. And I think, to Mr. Beast's credit, this didn't come overnight to him. Like, he's been doing YouTube for a long time, since he
It's
was
been
a
a
kid.
minute.
And it was
It's
a
been a minute.
collection of he had a team of individuals, I think 4 or 5 individuals, that took the task of trying to figure out the algorithm of YouTube from a young age. And, so one person was assigned to figure out thumbnails. The other person was assigned to figure out, what type of editing they need to do. Another person was assigned to figure out the types of scripts that they need to make. Another person was designed or put out to figure out how they need to structure or how they need to film everything. And then they came together and said, based off of what I found, this is how we need to do it. And they did it. But again, they did it at an early age. And
Mr. Beast was on YouTube at 13. He's been on YouTube for 12 years now.
Right. So it's not like something that he just did and he got famous from it overnight. This took him trial and error. This took him time to do. And so in his message, I don't think he's necessarily talking to the kids, but he said drop out of school, so you would just assume he's lumping in kids there. I think he's talking to individuals that are right in college or just leaving college, and they're trying to jump in full time with content creation, but they can't support themselves. Like me and you, we're in content creation now, but we ain't silly. We got responsibilities. You know what I mean? So
you feel me? Yeah.
We do what we do and we can, and if it pops, great. If it doesn't, we still going to do it because it's like a hobby now. Like, if it gives us the opportunity to leave our jobs, that's amazing. Now we're doing something where it was a hobby. We can take that on full time. But when we set out to do this, we was like, nah, we gotta wait and make sure it all looks well.
Got to be smart.
I think that's what Mr. And that's why he said exactly. He said, keep that in mind and please be smart. So I know the best plan is always plan A. You shouldn't have a plan B. But you can't play with your life like that. You gotta have multiple plans just in case everything doesn't go well. Contingency plans are always great.
You fuck around, be living that nomad life. You had just a plan of content creation. You'd be all over. You'd be homeless. Keep playing. Keep playing with your life like that.
I mean, and all it takes is one, but it's so hard because content creation is so saturated now. If this was 2012, 2015, and you were saying I'm going full time into content creation, it's not that many people that are doing it.
That's funny
you got
say that,
somebody that's supporting you.
We were talking about doing this about 8 years ago, dog, and we just never jumped on it. But now, here we are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. But I'm saying, like, if that was a couple years ago, it was that time frame, then yeah, I mean, I can understand it. But now everybody wants to be a content creator. So that 1%, that 1% that Stick was talking about is in full effect. It was in effect then, but it's definitely in full effect now, because back then it was thousands. Now it's millions that are, and maybe even billions that are trying to be content creators. So be smart about it.
Got to be smart about it, G. Got to. I ain't my quick hits ain't good, bro. We ain't gonna talk about mine. We already overtime as it is now anyway. Mine ain't good. You got another one? You got something else you want to bring up?
Nah, man.
You
Nah, I
good?
don't have another one.
Well, we gonna end it on
I
Mr.
don't.
Beast then, playing. Shout out to Mr. Beast, man. If you ever see this channel,
Mr. Beast, man. Yo, come holler at us, man.
You from the crib too? You from North Carolina, bro? So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, come holler at us.
Holler at us, man. Give us some ideas. Give us some pointers. You know, you've been on here for over a decade now. Let us know how we can, work this algorithm. That's what I'm trying to figure out, bro. For real, I ain't gonna lie. Trying to work the algorithm, dog.
But yo, episode 59, Too Complex
in the
podcast,
books, brother.
In the books. To this day.
To this day.
Can't
wait.
Oh man, but it was a good one.
It was.
Sticks has the pause to go handle the do.
Had to take the Browns to the Super Bowl, brother.
y'all won't see it, but
they were prairie dog, and I had to let it go. Cause I ain't gonna lie.
That could be the reason why it was long too, though. So we may be.
It was about a good 5 to 10 minute break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Anyway, remember, life is oftentimes shortened. Let's start. It has been a week since we did this. Let's redo it. Remember, life is short and oftentimes complex, but remember that when it becomes too complex, don't be afraid to lean on those that you love to help you find simplicity and balance in life.
Yes, sir.
Stay prayed up in this crazy world. A few requests thrown above to whoever it is that you believe in can return you peace and sanity. Thanks for loving us and supporting this podcast. It means the world to us. We're sending our love right back to you. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever streaming platform that you listen to, and follow us on all of your social media platforms. That's YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and as of right now, TikTok.
As of right now.
Unless it gets banned. And as always, if it ain't too complex, it ain't complex at all. Until next time, we'll see you when we see you.
Salute.